to begin by reading a poem entitled Wilderness by Neril McCall. Here in this demanding place, accompanied by wild things and nourished by nature, considerations are made clear. Here, the echo of your boldly claimed words, "You are my beloved," reside with me these 40 days. And I know these words are not just for me, but are for all things, and is the good news that I will proclaim. Jesus' journey into the desert for 40 years is reminiscent of the journey of the Israelites on the way to the Promised Land for 40 years. The time in the wilderness is described as both negative and positive. Here, Jesus is tempted to do evil, and yet also served by the wild animals and the angels, as Mark tells us. For the Israelites, that journey was positive because it gave them time to learn how to become their own nation and not just slaves to the Egyptians. They were given time to mature in their faith, to learn how to rely on God. And yet it was also negative, as they suffered greatly in the wilderness, having little food or water to sustain themselves, and many, all who started the journey, perished along the way. Wilderness for us, I think, has both of those connotations as well. It can have the opportunity to be a positive experience, a place where transformation happens and is possible as we wrestle with the deep struggles of our souls. It is the place where we discern our path in life. In society, we face wild places as a group as well, as we struggle and debate the issues of our time, such as doctor-assisted suicide. It is a time that can be negative as we think about all the negative things that can happen as a result of such laws and abilities. And yet it can also be a place of affirming the blessings of both life and death, and those gifts that have been given to us. It's also the place where we struggle with things like abuse and sexual immorality. I've struggled with this 50 Shades of Grey sort of stuff, and whether that's suggesting a culture of abuse or not. But certainly in our world, there's much focus right now about sexual exploitation and misconduct as we think about other figures like Bill Cosby, the Dalhousie students, dentistry students, and the exploitation of young women on social media. Certainly it's a common theme in our news today, and it is something we need to wrestle with. Where is sexual freedom, and where do we cross over into abuse and control? These are things that we as a society have to wrestle with, and we as individuals have to discern what is right and what is wrong. Wilderness is that internal place of struggle, but it is also that external place. Some people live in a literal wilderness. not just because there might be a lack of humanity and they might be amongst the wild animals, but also because of things like poverty and conflict. We think about Syrians living in refugee camps. Surely that is a place of wilderness where they have no home, where everything seems to be lost, where a future is unknown. But we enter into the wilderness, whether it's physical or internal, seeking to overcome our fears and our anxieties so that we can not just survive, but learn and grow as human beings and as people of faith. They are places where God guides us through transformation. Our moderator, Gary Patterson, says that the discussion about doctor-assisted suicide is the topic of our age. He feels that it might be the biggest societal decision we will make in our lifetimes, and that it could change how we act and think on this topic forever. That it is something that might transform and evolve our society, no matter what the decision is in the end. It is a big conversation, but as he puts it, one that is important to have. These are the wild places as we try to determine our path as individuals, as well as our path as people of faith, as churches, and as communities and societies. But the good news of the scriptures and the good news in our lives is that though these times sometimes seem very dark and difficult, something wonderful can come from them. And that in this time of transformation and struggle, God is always with us, helping us to discern the right path to take. Amen.